Do I think the NBA draft lottery was rigged? Yes. Do I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be an absolute problem with Cooper Flagg now? Also, yes. The Dallas Mavericks struck gold with just a 1.8% chance they get the number one pick, as we already know, and they will get the opportunity to select Cooper Flagg. And for those of you worried, is Nico gonna blindside us all again and trade the number one pick, similarly to the Luka Doncic trade? Reportedly, the Mavericks are going to keep this pick, as they definitely should, and select Cooper Flagg, who is going to be a game changer for this franchise, as the Mavericks, they're going to have title aspirations going into next season. I mean, of course, this is going to be an important offseason for them to get the roster where it needs to be, but there's plenty of talent, and adding a generational talent like Cooper Flagg is going to do wonders for this team, and it also helps the Mavericks' future because they do have some aging stars on this roster, but the future will certainly be bright when Cooper Flagg is the face of this franchise for the next decade. In this one, guys, I'm going to talk about Cooper Flagg's fit and how the Mavericks can look going into next season. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Cooper Flagg, with Cooper Flagg now in the mix, the Mavericks now have a two-way player who can basically do it all. Score, pass, rebound, defend at a high level. He can play the multiple positions, and he's only 18. He actually doesn't turn 19 until December, and it's nice to have Flagg on this roster, obviously, for his skill set, but as I mentioned before, he adds some youth to this team that is relying on Anthony Davis, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, and all those players are up there in age, with Davis being 32, Kyrie 33, obviously suffering that terrible injury, and he's not expected to be back till January, and Klay Thompson's 35. But you look at Flagg and what he means now to the Dallas Mavericks moving forward. His upside is on the defensive end. I mean, you look at him, he's got great size, 6'9" forward. He's a very elite disruptor on the defensive end. And you look at what he was able to do at college, averaging 1.4 steals and 1.4 blocks. And at the next level, he is going to benefit instantly playing alongside a guy in Anthony Davis. I mean, that's going to be a fearsome duo with Davis and Flagg. I mean, Davis has been touted as one of the greatest defenders ever throughout his career, and now he's going to have the ability to play with Flagg, as that combination of just rim protection is going to be absolute stellar. I mean, these guys are going to shut down their opponents every single night, and I'm really looking forward to that Flagg-Davis duo, that partnership. I think it's going to be very, very scary. And then you look at Flagg, what he's going to do offensively. He's going to have some opportunities to be an on-ball creator, of course, with Irving sidelined until at least 2026. And he'll be a secondary option in the paint with AD. And then even when Kyrie is back, Flagg is still going to be able to be that complementary piece. He's going to be that big body that's able to play at the rim, finish at the rim, and of course be a threat off the catch. With Flagg, what he's going to do offensively is going to be the most interesting thing for me, because his three-point shooting ability, I want to see how that carries on over to the next level. I mean, he's not a bad shooter by any means, but he did shoot 38.5% from deep on 3.6 attempts. So, he still has to develop in that area with the shooting. That's going to be something that he's going to have to develop into, of being a very impactful three-point shooter, especially when he's going to be asked to, play in lineups down the stretch in closing situations with Davis and Irving. A lot of attention is going to be on them. So for Flagg to be able to space the floor and shoot it efficiently, especially from three, that's going to be huge. But I think there's so many great opportunities now with Flagg, putting him in different lineups and how he's going to mesh with AD. I think that's going to be phenomenal. And then when Kyrie's back from his injury, that's going to be just very, very fun to watch. And you look at Dallas, they still are a youthful team, which is good, because they do have a lot of good young pieces with, of course, the current talent that they have now that suggests they're going to be going for it. So I think Mavericks fans should be thrilled because, in essence, your future is bright, but your window to win a championship for right now is still open. And I think Flagg is that ultimate player that gives you the best of both worlds, where he's your future, but he's also going to contribute, I think, immediately. And it's very rare that the number one pick gets drafted into a situation where he's all of a sudden going to be a part of winning basketball. And I think that's going to help Flagg. And this is a guy who's ready for that. I mean, look at what Duke did. Like, Flagg was winning. He was trying to win a national title. Unfortunately, Duke fell short. But this is a guy who's been a winner all his life. You know, even in the workouts that he had with Team USA, just really showing that he belongs. And he was actually shining amongst some of the great players in the league today. So I think the fit is going to be instant. I think his impact's going to be instant. And I think Mavericks fans should be thrilled because this is such an unlikely opportunity that Mavs fans now have, that, you know, you have a chance to get a generational player. It's like Luka Doncic gets traded. That was very emotional. A lot of lows since then. But now it's like you have the new face of this franchise who's going to be the foundation for the next 10 plus years. So the Mavericks, they win the Flagg sweepstakes, but we'll see what they do now, because I think the Mavericks are still going to be aggressive. They got the draft, of course, this offseason, and I think they could look to move on from a front court player or two, because their front court's now crowded a little bit. And when you look at two players in particular, PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, they're both on expiring contracts. So could the Mavericks leverage trading one of their front court players to help their backcourt? Because that's going to be what they need to help and strengthen, especially with Kyrie out. So I think this offseason, we're going to see Nico Harrison and company try to clean up their loaded front court and fix some of that guard depth. And, you know, just some names, an Anthony Simons, Malcolm Brogdon, even a Tyus Jones makes sense to, of course, take the pressure off Brandon Williams, who's a young guard, and he's going to be asked to do a lot with Kyrie out. And then also even replace Kyrie Irving for the first couple months of the season, because I did read that the Mavericks are going to be looking to find a Kyrie replacement for the early part of the season. So you look at the Dallas Mavericks, I mean, this is a franchise that was in a complete state of disarray, just absolute shambles not too long ago. But now all of a sudden, they are just in such a prime position. And Cooper Flagg instantly just boosts this team. And really, I think this is going to be a major player in the West as soon as next season. So I'm excited to see what the Mavericks roster ultimately looks for 2026. But this team looks pretty damn scary going into next season. And Cooper Flagg, just in a heartbeat, just in an instance, changes the overall vibes, just the overall level of optimism that Mavericks fans now have with this team going into the future. So let me know, Mavs fans, how excited are you about the Mavericks with Cooper Flagg now? And what are some of the moves you anticipate or want to see this offseason to kind of shape up this roster, as the Mavericks are clearly going to be going for it next season? Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.